Jeff Jarrett may be the king of the mountain, but Darby Allin wants to be king of Mount Everest. But even then, Tony Khan believes that the moves that Darby performs in the ring are more dangerous than climbing Mount Everest itself. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. And Tony Khan has came out and he has put over his little guy, his 140 pound soaking wet Darby Allin, his stuntman, his crazy man, his daredevil, the guy that's probably going to end up dead sometime, or crippled, or paralysed, or maybe all three of them. And Tony Khan came out in a recent interview and he said that the stuff that Darby Allin does in the ring is more dangerous than climbing Mount Everest. And for me, straight away, that just sends alarm bells. It's wrestling at the end of the day. It's a work. It's not supposed to be dangerous. I think that if the stuff you're doing in the ring is more dangerous than climbing Mount Everest, then straight away you've got a problem. You're doing it wrong. But at the same time, I don't disagree with Tony Khan, because he's probably... There's some truth to that. You look at some of the things that Darby Allin does in the ring, some of the things that he's done. And I think a lot of people would rather climb Mount Everest. I think a lot of people would consider climbing Mount Everest a lot safer than doing some of the crazy shit that we've seen Darby Allin, participate in a wrestling ring. So during an interview with Leverk and Ghost, AEW President Tony Khan commented on the risks that Darby Allin takes in his matches. Tony Khan said, quote, "He wants to try new things. It's that risk-taking, that energy. These things make him so unique and appealing to the wrestling fans. I like to tap into that. He takes big risks, but it's the risks he takes in the ring as a wrestler that are even more dangerous than when he climbs Mount Everest or does some of the craziest motorcycle stunts you'll ever see. This guy is an absolute wizard in the ring." End of quote. Now, obviously, we know Darby Allin had to postpone his Everest climb in 2024 because he broke his foot, but it looks like he's going to make the trip in 2025 instead. And you know what? You can't disagree with Tony Khan. Like I said, he's jumping through glass panels, he's doing all this crazy shit, just taking really bad landings that can totally fuck you up, and a lot of that stuff in my eyes is more dangerous than climbing Mount Everest. Now, I'm not going to sit here completely and bash Darby Allin, because I think that the moves that he does do, it makes him appealing. The high risk style, I think you look at that and he is one of the more unique guys. He is one of the more appealing wrestlers on the AEW roster. And I'm not just going to lie because of this era and pretend that he's not. I mean, you look at Mick Foley back in the day. A lot of people cared for Mick Foley because of his unique style and, his car crash wrestling and the fact that he was literally willing to put his body on the line. And, we've seen a lot of people refer to him as a stuntman. Ric Flair referred to Mick Foley as a glorified stuntman. I tell you what, he made a good career out of it. Mick Foley had a successful career out of being a so-called glorified stuntman. And Darby Allin has done pretty well for himself in AEW as well by being the stunt guy, by being the guy that does crazy moves. But still, it's probably not real wrestling. It's not a good look that you're safer in a wrestling ring than you are climbing Mount Everest. And I hope that it never happens, but you just feel like with Darby Allin continuing to do some of this crazy shit that one day, something might go wrong. And you look at Mick Foley, and we all loved Mick Foley, but look at Mick by early 2000s. I mean, look at the way Mick was walking. Or I say walking, trying to walk. I mean, Mick has been in bad shape for a long time. At an early age, early 2000s, Mick Foley would have only been in his late 30s, possibly, early 40s. And Mick wasn't moving good for a guy that age. And I'm sure that had a lot to do with the stunts and the moves and the bumps that he took. And who's to say that we won't see Darby Allin? I mean, what kind of condition? I think Darby Allin right now is, 35? What kind of condition is Darby Allin going to be in 10 years' time? How's he going to be moving, after taking years of bumps? And I'm sure he's got many more years left in him. But speaking of Darby Allin, he spoke about the term. He came out and talked about the term superstar, and he said that it's stupid. He doesn't like the term superstar for wrestlers, and of course he wouldn't like it because the people in AEW aren't stars, so he would rather call them wrestlers. And I mean, I agree. I think in AEW, people like Orange Cassidy, Daniel Garcia, these guys don't deserve the title superstar, so you better keep calling them wrestlers, because they sure as hell ain't stars. But this is what Darby Allin had to say when speaking to A Meal and A Match. He said, quote, "That's why with wrestling, I think being a spokesperson for the younger kids, they can see me and relate. I'm not just coming into AEW and being like, yo, everything's perfect. I'm a superstar. Superstar is such a stupid term. We're like, you're down here, we're up here, we're superstars. I'm one of you who just made it, and you know what I mean. And you can make it too." End of quote. And that's just what's wrong. I mean, that's what's wrong with wrestling there. Darby Allin pretty much just spelling it out. He says that superstars seem like they're above everyone else. Superstars seem like, we're up here and you're down there. Darby Allin says he's not about that. Darby Allin says he's just one of you guys that made it. And that's why wrestling fucking sucks, because there is no stars. You look at back in the day, The Rock wasn't just some guy in the crowd that made it. Stone Cold didn't come across as some guy in the crowd that made it. Undertaker didn't come across as just some guy in the crowd that made it. These came across as legitimate stars. They didn't look like the people that were in the crowd. It didn't look like anybody in the crowd could just become the next Austin, or could just become the next Rock, or could just become the next Undertaker. The fact is, though, there's skinny guys in the crowd that could do what Darby Allin does, whether they want to risk it or not. But there is guys that could just, get into a ring, have zero build, don't look like a star, and throw themselves off 30-foot ladders and crashing through glass panels. So, I mean, Darby Allin saying that the term superstar is stupid, it's probably because he's not a superstar. He's a wrestler, and his whole logic of him not wanting to be above everyone else, not wanting to feel like he's better than anyone else, not wanting to feel like he's at an unobtainable reach compared to everyone else. I think that's what's wrong with wrestling. He's just Darby Allin's claiming he's just like everybody in the crowd that was lucky enough to make it, and that's like the entire AEW roster. That's how most people in AEW feel like. They just feel like, your average day guys. I mean, look at Adam fucking Cole. That's not a superstar. That's a guy that's never set foot in a gym. So it is what it is. Then Darby went on to talk about how he recovers from his matches. He says, quote, "My whole downstairs is like a laboratory. I'm friends with DDP, and he's got all this state-of-the-art, physical recovery stuff at his house. So I'll go up and try it out. Now, I've got 2 ice baths at my house. I've got saunas. I've got breathing machines. I've got everything because I want to be crazy for as long as possible." End of quote. So, even then, Darby Allin, it's not like he's trying to get in good shape so he can be in good shape. He's basically trying to get in the best shape he can possible so he can continue doing crazy shit for as long as possible. He's got a very warped mind, but in some sort of crazy way, I kind of do respect the guy, but I do worry for his condition as well in the future. But also, you hear him talking about having 2 ice baths and saunas and breathing machines, and it's just Tony Khan, man. He's paying all these guys in AEW a shitload of money, and they're not worth it. They're not stars. They are not generating this money. They're not creating this money. But at least Darby Allin kind of earns it by, risking his life every week. So if Tony Khan's going to pay somebody millions At least pay it to the guy that's risking his life. You know, at least pay it to the guy that's jumping through glass panels and doing crazy shit that could kill him. So, yeah, I don't think anybody in AEW deserves the big money that Tony Khan pays out. But if he's going to pay it to anybody, I guess I would rather Darby Allin get it. But anyway, guys, let us know what you think down below with Darby Allin and his whole thoughts on the superstar term being stupid. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me why he doesn't like that term, because he's not a star. AEW rosters aren't full of stars. And yeah, let us know your thoughts on Tony Khan. And I mean, is Darby Allin wrestling more dangerous than climbing Mount Everest? The fact that Tony Khan thinks that just shows you how crazy some of the stuff that Darby Allin is willing to do is. And it's mad that it's considered more dangerous than climbing Mount Everest. But that's the kind of shit that Darby Allin does to his body. Anyway, guys, that's it. Catch you in the next one. Being Fog Wrestling. Leave a like, leave a comment, and until next time, peace.